man.
Hi guys, Black is here, and I want to talk about some misinformation, right? You know, I'm gonna tell you what YouTube is becoming, or has become, a place for people who don't know much about cars to make high quality videos talking about cars they don't know crap about, just repeating what they hear online. And it's very popular because it seems like the majority of the people on YouTube are into flash. They love high video qualities, and to me it seems like that's what they're more about than the content of the video. Meaning I clicked on the video and I thought this was going to be, actually I clicked on the video because I thought it was going to talk about the Cadillac Northstar. That's why I clicked on the video. But it was talking about 8 of the worst engines mechanics can't stand. It wasn't exact words, but it was something of that nature. And I clicked on the video, and I think the first engine they talked about was the Ford 5.4, but I don't have any experience with that engine. You know, I've heard of people talking about the spark plug popping out. I don't have any experience. I'm not going to talk about something I don't have any experience with. But what I will talk about, they got to the 4.3 GM. And they said this engine is supposed to be from 95 to 2004, the engine they're talking about. But there was only one video, and I don't even think this video was of that engine. I think the video was of an older 4.3, but it could have fell into that one. But there was only one video. The rest of the video was talking about the newer 4.3 V6, the LS base 4.3. But he's talking about, he says from 95 to 2000, 94 to 2005, or 95 to 2004, whatever. But like I said, none of the videos showed that engine. To be honest, it never showed that engine, because the one video at the beginning was an engine looked like it was built on horsepower TV, so it didn't have the intake from the 95, because the 95 had central port fuel injection. So he never showed the engine. He never showed image of an engine that he's talking about. To me, that's right there is, how can you tell somebody about something when you don't show pictures of it? Now me, I'm talking about an engine. I'm not showing pictures, but I'm not showing you pictures of a 3.6 V6 either. But anyway, you know, he talked about this time and change problems. There oil leaks. There's what he said, blown head gasket. And honestly, I've never owned a 4.3. I never owned a car with a 4.3. Never wanted to either. But I've known other people who had them, and I've spent quite a bit of time behind the wheel of them. And I don't have a problem with them. The people who I knew never had a problem with them. You know, the only major problem I saw was I had a friend who had to replace a harmonic banister. And that's another story I gotta tell y'all about. He talked about, nobody I knew had blown head gasket problem. Now my sister had one. She did have an oil leak, but it was a rib-ain seal, and that was fixed, and it never leaked anymore. So I don't know what the hell the person talking about. You know, as far as I know, they're good engines. They're not the most powerful. Well, they're not the most powerful in the world, but they're good engines. And actually, now they might have came out, Vortec might have came out in 2004, but the one I drove was in 2005. I'm not 2004. Seemed like I heard the Vortec came out in 94, and I think it did in the Blazers. I think it was the 200 horsepower or the 195 or something like that. But the first one I drove was a 95 Astro van. They changed the front end on the 95 model, and it had the 200 horsepower 4.3, and that there was a bad mother father back in 05. I mean, I keep saying 05, 95. That was a badass engine. I mean, it was strong for a V6, 200 horsepower. Because, you know, this is before I think it was before Honda came out with their minivan. So this thing was pretty fast, you know, 200 horsepower in a minivan. I used to work for a company, and I drove one. I got a lot of time behind that wheel of that damn thing. I mean, it was amazing. You know, it was amazing. I didn't have no problems with it. It was amazing. But getting back to it, it just pissed me off when people make videos and then don't show images of what they're talking about. That bothers me. To me, that it's misinformation. And like I said, a lot of young people online don't know crap about cars, and they watch these videos, and of course they believe everything they say. But that was this video was going to be about. But now I want to tell y'all about my friend 4.3. It was a 91 or 92 GMC Safari minivan. And it was 4.3 V6. And the first, I forgot. He had another problem. Let me tell y'all about the first problem. The harmonic balancer, right? He was sitting at a light and the engine was shaking like hell, and he'll put the engine in neutral. The engine, the RPM would go up a little bit and it would stop shaking. Now, either that or he stepped on the gas a little bit, it would stop shaking. But either one, he had to put it in neutral and it would stop shaking. So anyway, I told him that he needed a harmonic balancer, right? And his father, who was a mechanic, told him he needed a tune-up. So of course he did a tune-up, didn't help. Then he told me he needed a motor mount, didn't help. Need transmission mount, didn't help. It's still doing it. So he takes it to a mechanic, and the mechanic told me he needed a harmonic, the mechanic told him needed a crankshaft dampener. So the mechanic put that on, and I don't know, a few days later, my friend called me and he said, "Hey man, what was that thing you said I needed?" And I said, "A harmonic balancer." And he said, "You're wrong. I took it to a mechanic. He said I need a crankshaft dampener." And I said, "Ron, that's what a harmonic balancer is, a crankshaft dampener. Some people call them crankshaft dampener. Some people call them harmonic balancer. The same thing." Yeah, I know, right? So the next problem he had was, we was riding somewhere and I noticed that the fan was running all the time. You know, the cooling fan. It's a mechanical fan, but it's real loud. And they normally, when you first pull off, they're real loud. When you first crank up and pull off, they're loud. And after a little while, they quiet down. But his thing was loud all the time. And I'm like, damn, Ron, your clutch fan locked up. You know what the hell I was talking about. And Ron was the kind of person, if it wasn't completely broke, he's not going to fix it. That's the way Ron was. So anyway, I was like, man, you need to fix your clutch fan because it's going to cause you to burn more gas because it's turning that heavy fan or whatever. He wasn't worried about it. So then he started getting check engine light. He took it to a mechanic, and the mechanic told him that the clutch fan was locked up and it was causing the engine to run. I think the code was either the engine was running too cool or the engine was running too rich. But either way, it was cooling the engine so much it was sending it back into that whatever loop, the cold start loop, whatever that called. I forget, open loop, closed loop. I forget which one is which. But the point is, the engine was running too cool. So anyway, he ended up having to replace the clutch fan, and that took care of the cooling issue or whatever. But those the only two problems I heard of with a 4.3. I mean, the engine is based off a 350. Some people say it's 2-cylinder chopped off. When you say that, it sounds like the 2-cylinder was chopped off the back or the front, but I heard that they removed 2 cylinders in between the V8 or something. But that's probably where I had the weird looking exhaust manifold. But anywho, those are the only two problems I can remember. I mean, like I said, did I tell you the first one I drove, my brother? He had a, I don't know, it was an 87, 88, or 89 GMC Jimmy and a 4.3 V6. And it was the first time I had drove a V6 that actually had some power. You know, I mean, it wasn't super fast, but it was pretty damn responsive, you know. And I never had, like I said, I never had a problem with them. I didn't never have a problem with them except for when I worked at a propane company and we had a I think it was a 2000 King Cab Silverado with a 4.3 V6. And that thing, it sucked the way it shifted. And it wasn't the motor. The motor wasn't the problem. The problem was the damn transmission. It was a 4L60 transmission. I never understood why I felt so stupid when it shifted until some years later I found out GM, when it shifted to second gear, it was locking up the torque converter when it shifted to second gear. And it felt like there was a big gap between first and second. And it made the engine kind of bog down, especially I pulled a trailer with that thing, and the trailer was loaded down with propane, and that truck sucked pulling that trailer because of the locked up damn torque converter. I remember, I don't remember how much weight. I mean, it was probably 5,000 pounds of propane on the trailer I was pulling. And I remember going up a hill, the slighted hill on 285, that some bitch would drop down to second gear and couldn't go no faster than 45 miles per hour. You know, it couldn't make no torque because the GM locked up the torque converter in second gear, third in overdrive, trying to save gas. And it made the damn engine suck. So that's really the only time I hated the 4.3 was in that damn truck. But again, that was because the torque converter was locked up. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, leave them. Dre, y'all have a good day.